Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank is away on business, so do my best to hold down the fort as usual. This is a show where we talk about the Patriots, the Bruins, the Celtics, and Red Sox. Get you caught up on all the goings on during the week. Bear with me now while I post the link. We got a lot to talk about. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with we have a little bit of Bruins news. It's not earth shattering or anything, but it does need to be mentioned. Sean Corrali's father passed away. I don't have all the details on how old he was or what happened to him, but you guys hear me on here talking about how these guys are Ocean State job lot bums and stuff, and it's in jest, right? And that vitriol, so to speak, is geared more towards the management shopping in the dumpster dumpster diving in the garbage bins. It's not personal with the players. So if I haven't made it clear before on here, we'll make it clear now. The players, they're human beings. They're like us. They have families. The professional sports is their job and whatnot, and they're gonna lose loved ones just like we do. So condolences to him and his family for loss of his father. Uh, Especially now it's the end of the year. The holidays are gonna be coming, and it's gonna be the first time around. It's gonna hit hard. So wish him the best. And there's really not much else to say. So we'll move on. The Bruins rookies are getting ready to start camp this weekend. I don't have a lot of details on them other than the top pick, James Higgins, is not going to be there because he's playing for BC, so he's going to be doing whatever it is he needs to get ready for Boston College hockey. Next week, next week, when training camp gets started and the guys start showing up and whatnot, hopefully we'll have a little bit more to talk about. But for right now, I'm going to stop it there, and we're going to move on to the Red Sox. I want to talk about them. Where did it go? I want to talk about them from last week, right? They did as I expected. They split their series with they split the. I'm sorry. They lost 2 out of 3 to Arizona, and they won 2 out of 3 to the A's, and they had a 3-3 road trip, which I expected because of the pitching matchups again. And this is going to be a thing because they do not have good starters now at the back end of the rotation. The Peyton Tolle excitement has died down. His last 2 starts, he hasn't been very good. 3 innings, 5 runs, including a couple home runs, I believe, against Arizona in a 10-4 loss. And then his last start, he pitched 2 innings to get up 2 home runs to the A's, and they had to take him out, and they had to use a bunch of relievers to back him up. So, he's got issues that he's been having now, and maybe he's not, the guy that they thought they were going to get for the stretch run here. And that's unfortunate because, again, that one start he made, the first start, the ballpark was electrified. He had a great outing, and you want to see more from him because the pipeline doesn't appear to be as good as we thought. And the other thing is, I almost said Drake May. Dustin May wound up on the DL with elbow neuritis. And again, as I've said on here before, anytime I hear elbow anything, that's a red flag for me. That says for me that it may not be Tommy John, but it don't look good. I don't trust that it's not going to be something major. And he wasn't pitching well anyway, so they might be better off without him to begin with. I mean, he has not really done much since they traded for him. So they had a kid the other night, Connolly Early. Say that 10 times fast. He came in, pitched 5 shutout innings. He did a good job. And they won 6-0. Excuse me. And because the games were on late on the West Coast, I didn't get to see them. So I don't really know what he did or how he looked other than listening to sports radio. And they said that, this guy looks a little different than the flamethrowers that keep coming up, throwing 98, 99 miles an hour and blowing their arms out. This kid actually looked like he could pitch. And that's kind of refreshing because these guys just, they gear it up and then they miss wildly sometimes, or they try to nitpick the corners too much, or they don't actually go aggressively after the hitters enough. And so hopefully you got a guy here that can mix in some pitches and, hopefully he's got more than, a fastball and a curveball. He's got to have probably 4 or 5 different looks. And, if they're gonna secure a playoff spot completely, they got to get something out of Tolle and Early these last couple of weeks. I mean, they have 2 weeks left. I think they have 13 games left or something. 13 or 14, I forget. But whatever it is, the 2-inning thing or 3-inning is not going to work. Peyton Tolle has to be better. They don't have many options to substitute for him. I heard that the sports radio guys were saying they should put him in the pen because he comes in and just throws gas. But who do you start in his place? Another frustration of mine that I've had over the last couple of years on here is that they have to use openers. And they did that one game at least with Bernardino. They started him for an inning or two, took him out. And then I forget who came in after him that they stunk. And so the opener thing doesn't work either because you don't have legit starters. This is why, again, at the trade deadline, they really needed to get Joe Ryan. He would have had Crochet, Ryan, Giolito, and Bayo. And then that last spot, it's okay if you cobble it together. But now you got to do this with 2 spots again. And you got to pray that you get something more than, an inning or 2 innings or 3 innings out of these guys because the rest of the bullpen's going to get taxed. So I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what they're looking at, but if Peyton Tolle's not working out at all next start, he only gives you 2 innings, then replace him. Fine. Put him in the pen or send him back and get the next guy in line to try to get some guys that can give you at least 4 or 5 innings. They need guys that can give you 4 or 5 innings on the back end, especially now where what I heard is that they're trying to give the starters an extra day of rest. So you're looking at over these last 2 weeks, all 5 guys are going to get an extra day of rest, and they're only going to make probably 2 starts left. So who's filling in those gaps? That's a huge question mark for them. I will say this: I did not have a good feeling at the beginning of the year that they were going to make it, and they haven't made it yet. But they're in the second wild card spot, and they're tied with the Yankees. The Yankees do have 2 games in hand on that Red Sox. So, they gotta keep grinding and get these wins, and not have a lapse. And so that's going to bring me to this, which is the Red Sox versus Yankees this weekend, starting tomorrow at Fenway. Huge series. The Red Sox have their top three guys going, which is good. Giolito's going tomorrow night, but he's going against. Let me find it here for a sec. Where'd it go? He's going against Gil or Heel, or however you say his name. He just came back from being injured. He's made 7 starts. His last 6 starts, he's pitched at least 5 innings. His ERA is 2.25. I want to say he was one of their better pitchers last year. I think he won 15 games. So to get him back for this series is not good timing for the Red Sox. And Giolito, if I remember correctly, the last time out against the Yankees didn't pitch too good. So that's a concern. And then Saturday you have Max Fried going against Brian Bayo. Max Fried's their ace guy right now with Garrett. I can picture his face. Damn it! He went on interviews over the. He went Tommy John guy. Damn it! That's gonna aggravate me. I got Garrett Whitlock and Garrett Crochet stuck in my head. Nonetheless, their ace is missing. This guy's been their ace. He's got 16 wins. And the last time he faced the Red Sox last month when they played each other, he pitched 6 innings, gave 4 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. That's not a favorable matchup for us. Brian Bayo has been good this year. I will give him credit. 11-6, 3.12 ERA. He's pitched pretty good. So I can't hop on him like I did last year. I have a funny feeling, and I think I mentioned this before. He wasn't supposed to be the number 1 guy last year. Just that they didn't have any options. And I think that having him be in the 3rd spot, that's the best spot for him. That there's less pressure, and he can just go out there and pitch. Now, Sunday night, it's Garrett Crochet, and they have this guy Warren pitching. He's 8-6 with a 4.22. So Garrett Crochet last time out, I think he had 7 shutout innings, 3 hits, 10 Ks or whatever. They're gonna need that because I have a funny feeling they're gonna lose 2 out of 3 of the Yankees. That's been their MO late in the year. I mean, they proved me wrong so far, but their MO has not been good in August and September. And so, prove me wrong. If they want to get past 88 wins, which is where I had them, and I still have them there, they gotta get 2 out of 3 here, in my opinion. Next series they're going on the next series. They get the A's coming in here for 3. I mean, you'd love to see them do a sweep, but with the way the back end of the rotation's been going, it's not a slam dunk that will happen. And I expect same thing. Maybe they get 2 out of 3, some tough games, and you get a split, and then the last portion of the season they have to go to Tampa Bay, and they have to go to Toronto, and then their last series here is against Detroit, who's in first place in their division, and they have to play Toronto, who's in first place, been kicking the Red Sox rear end for about 4 or 5 years now. So the road ahead is not a pretty road. They got to get at least 3 wins in their next 6 games, and then they got to hope they can get maybe 2 out of their last 6. That would put them right around 81, 2, 3, 4, 6. I mean, 6 wins from now would put them at 87 wins. So they got a little work to do. The math in my head says they're going to lose all these series, and they're never going to get to 88 wins. But the other teams have been so bad, and the way that it's been working is even if they do flounder slightly at the end, they can still make the playoffs, I think, unless teams like Cleveland and I forget who the other team is that's right on the cusp. Those teams have to go on a 8-game winning streak and go on a run in order to knock the Sox out, and if the Sox fail. So listen, I have to say that it's much better when they're in the hunt. It's much better when they're in the mix. Um, all the scenarios, the the ups and downs, the pitching, the hitting, the clutch hitting, all the stuff we hop on them for. Um, you know, I'm glad that at least they're in the hunt because finishing in last place the last couple of years has been miserable. It's been bad. Uh, but because they don't have that extra ace guy, second guy in the rotation. Even with Roman Anthony, and even with William Abreu, I don't know if they would get any more wins than what they were getting. I mentioned last week losing Anthony at the top of the order is a big loss because he was hitting a 300 over like a 2-month stretch. So he is making them better. They have a winning record with him in there. I think they're 16 games all 500 with him in there. So I shouldn't say that it won't help them win. It was helping them win. They definitely need Abreu back. He's got a little bit of sneaky pop in his bat that they lack. Bregman hasn't provided the pop that I thought he was going to provide. He should have been a 20 home run guy. I think he's only got 16 or 17. I know he got hurt. I know he had the hamstring leg issue, whatever it is. And maybe he's still not quite 100%. He maybe is at 90. But I expected a little more pop from him. And the guy that I would say is probably the unsung hero, or a guy that definitely got overlooked back in May when he was hitting 150 something, is Trevor Story. He's been really tremendous over the last 3 months, since May, June, July, August, and partway into September. 24 home runs, 91 RBIs. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the year he was going to lead the team in RBIs, I would have laughed. That would have been a no. And obviously at the beginning of the year we would have Devers right before the trade, and that would still be the case. But for right now, after Devers gets traded, if you would have told me that he was going to be the leader and have over 90 RBI, there's no way I would have saw it coming. He's also got, I think, 27 stolen bases. The last I checked, he was 27 for 27. So, 20 home run, 20 stolen base guy. Knock on wood, he's been healthy, relatively healthy. Hopefully he can stay that way. And listen, his defense is not like, he's not Ozzie Smith or Derek Jeter back there, but he's solid and steady. He makes most of the routine plays, a majority of them. And he's definitely, what they missed the last couple of years when he was hurt, because the guys they kept putting over there, the Flotsam and Jetsam and the dumpster dive guys just couldn't make the plays. The defense is noticeably better with him in the infield. And I will say it's also noticeably better with Nathaniel Lowe at first base. The guy's picking balls out of the dirt. His bat's been pretty good. I think he's hitting about 290. So I would say that was a pretty shrewd pickup to grab him. I like the pickup. I'm glad they finally got somebody that actually has a glove over there. I'm still not thrilled with Romy Gonzalez getting run at first and second base. And David Hamilton, he's another one again. He comes in as a defensive replacement sometimes in the 7th or 8th inning, and I'm like, what the hell are you bringing him in for? I don't know. I guess between Romy Gonzalez and him, you take your pick and pick your poison. I can't figure out which one of those two guys is worse. But whichever one is the worst, that's the one I don't want there. And so they have to definitely find a way to upgrade that position in the offseason, whether it's Marcelo Maya or Christian Campbell or Saddam Rafaela, or whatever. I mean, Rafaela definitely more suited for center field. I mean, the plays he made, he took a home run away on the road trip. Put his foot in the wall out there and jumped over and grabbed the ball. Phenomenal athlete. Real good. Can get to the balls out there. He's got some pop. He's streaky, but if he's hitting 250 and he gives you 15, 16 home runs, I'd take that. If you told me at the beginning of the year he would do that, I think nobody here would have had him hitting 250 because he was hitting 220 or whatever before that. That's probably what I had. I would have thought if he hit 240, it would have been a bonus. 250, it's a bonus in my opinion. I think he's really done a much better job than he has last year. And, I'm hoping that his development continues and he becomes a better hitter. He's showing improvement. That's huge. Again, I think I mentioned this before. I think the coaching staff just threw away a lot of the nerd stuff and said, "Hey, we're not doing this analytics bullcrap. We need to freaking win games. That's what you guys want. That's what we're going to do." I'm not saying again they don't use any of it at all, but I feel that they're using less of it. And I think that having Alex Bregman too in the dugout as a leader and a guy that can go to a guy and point out something in their swing and mechanics and so forth, that's huge. And so I'm hoping he stays. There's a lot of grumblings about him leaving. At the end of the year, he has an opt-out. Excuse me. He signed a 3-year deal with $120 million with 30 of it deferred. 30 million total deferred. So you got 30 million this year going to him, 10 deferred. And then he has an opt-out after this year. So there's a lot of speculation because his agent is Scott Boras, who just likes to, rook the owners for dough. Is how I look at it. He's probably going to want $40 million a year. Guaranteed, no deferred, no this, no that. Honestly, I still don't think he's there. I think if he opts out, becomes a free agent, and he's like, "Yep, we want $40 million a year for 5 years," I still wouldn't do it. I still would not do it. I think that's crazy. I'm wondering if maybe what they do is tack on 2 more years to the existing deal somehow at $40 million a year and defer $10 million out of those 2 years as well to keep him here. I don't know if that would be acceptable to him. Scott Boras does not, he's all about getting the last dollar or the last penny. And I'm not a fan of these guys getting $35-40 million at 32 years old, getting 5-6 years. And he's got leg injuries, he's got hamstring problems. Last year he missed a bunch of time. This year he's missed, probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's not ideal when you're paying a guy that much. I'm sorry. For as much as we're paying the butt Devers became, or disgruntled or upset or whatever adjective you want to use, other than the shoulders bothering him, for the most part, he was relatively healthy. And so you're getting a $30 million guy. He's hitting 30 home runs and knocking in 100 RBI. He's already got both, I think. I think he's over 30. I think he's over 100 RBI total already. So, I think in today's market, he's worth $30 million. I don't think that they had a choice. Again, we're rehashing old news here, but John Henry didn't want to pay him, and he was forced to do so once they traded Mookie Betts, and so his defense was always an issue until last year. I thought he had a decent year last year. I think he only had 12 errors. I think that's his lowest total in I don't know how long. And, people still be like, "Oh, he made errors and he stinks on third." But listen, he's average. He's okay. He's better than what the other bums you could put over there. I didn't have a problem with him. He's not the only one as a third baseman that made 20 errors in a season. Adrian Beltre, who's turned into a Gold Glove third baseman, had seasons where he made 20 errors. He worked hard to get better and be a Gold Glove guy. Now, and I'm not saying that Devers is not doing that, but if he really wants to be a Gold Glove guy, Wade Boggs, same thing when he came up back in the 80s. His defense was a little bit shaky, worked at it, turned into a Gold Glove guy. I mean, you can work at it and become a Gold Glove, you know. But even if you don't and you're not a Gold Glove, you're making 12, 13 errors a year in 150 games. I don't think that's horrible. 20 or 20 plus, that's horrible. 20, you know, that's one error every, four or five games, 5, 6, one error every, that's an error a week. Not going to be good enough. So, we'll see. I am looking forward to this series this weekend with the Yankees. I wonder if the buzz will be back, because it's been lacking the last bunch of years where, the Red Sox have been out of the playoffs and the team's really kind of sucked. I'm curious to see what the buzz is going to be like over the weekend. And again, I got to hop on this because I hate it. Stupid streaming BS. The game's on Apple TV. And so now we got to futz around and try to figure out how to freaking get it. Wicked annoying. I can't stand it. So I hope I can figure it out. If not, then c'est la vie. I'll move on to the next thing. This is where I wish hockey was going on, because if there was a hockey game on and I couldn't get the Red Sox, I wouldn't care. But anywho, let's move on to the Patriots. Patriots last week lost to the Raiders 23-13. They looked bad, man. It's not the start we were looking for at all. I predicted the Raiders would win 23-17. I thought the Patriots would have a better showing on offense. I felt that Geno Smith would carve up the Patriots a little bit since he did it here last year. I didn't realize how bad it was going to be. It's disheartening. It's discouraging, to say the least. I feel like they got all coached. I guess we could get the particulars. Let me do. I had 3 keys to the game last week. Those keys were minimize the mistakes and penalties. Don't beat yourself. They did have 8 penalties, but I want to say only like 3 of them really hurt them badly. The 15-yard penalty, helmet to helmet, hurt on one of the drives on defense. Led to some kind of score for the Raiders. I'll get to them. Will Campbell had one late in the game on 4th and 5 that, they were at midfield. They were going to go for it, and then after that happened, it became a 4th and 10, and they decided to punt. You can't have that. It's bad timing. Those are the things that we saw last year. Just bad penalties at the wrong time. I had run the ball and control the clock. They only ran the ball 18 times. Awful. The play calling was terrible. Drake May throwing for 46 times rather. As we know, and as we've mentioned on here, when it's lopsided like that, you don't win football games when the quarterback you usually don't win football games when the quarterback has to throw by like a 2 or 3 to 1 margin versus running the ball. That's usually a recipe for disaster. That was the case this week. And the last one I had is don't allow any big plays on defense. They allowed 9 plays of 20 plus yards in the pass game, and that is just horrendous. You can't have it. They can't listen. you can have a couple, 2, maybe 3 tops, but they gave up 23 yards here, 26 yards there, 30 yards here, 20 yards there, 19 yards here. The plays were like ridiculous. Jacoby Myers had at least 2 that I counted. He might have had more. Why can't we get guys like this? Typical. I blame the coaching. I blame the coaching because they didn't put these guys in position to succeed. The play calling on offense was terrible. I forget what play it was. It might have been on one of the touchdown plays, maybe, or one I don't know, one of the long pass plays. The Patriots had, 7-man front, whatever, kind of showed blitz. Then they had Milton Williams and Christian Barmore drop into coverage. You guys aren't good enough to be doing stupid scheme shit like that. Excuse my French. You guys, those guys are pass rushers and run blockers. You're asking them to drop back and pass coverage. You high? Yeah. I thought Gerard Mayo got fired. Listen, I like Mike Vrabel. I don't know who decided that was a good idea, whether it was him, the defensive coordinator, the assistant defensive coordinator, the line coach. I mean, look, I don't know, but collectively as a group, somebody needs to put the kibosh on that. I better never see that again. You don't have the Belichick magic formula and Romeo Crennel to be doing that. You brought Milton Williams in here to rush the passer. He's dropping back coverage. Why bother signing him then? I mean, I'm dumbfounded when I heard that. I'm like, how do you take that guy, pay him $100 million to be a force against in the front 7 against the other team's offensive line, and then drop him back? No. How about no? Don't do that again. That is dumb. I'm not a football coach. I'm not an X's and O's, this and that, but I can tell you when you got a 300-something pound guy, that guy should be moving forwards, not backwards. That much I can tell you. I don't understand that particular play at all. In the first half, so when Frank is on, we usually do the top 3 takeaways from the game. Number 1, the offensive play calling was horrible in the second half. They didn't adjust to the Raiders blitzing more. When you hear the analysts talk about the edge rushers or the elite pass rushers, those guys are not very strong in the run game. And when teams sometimes run the ball and break off big runs, they attack those guys. They might double team them or do a run on that side where they are and neutralize them because they're running up speed at 100% and you're running in the opposite direction right at them. And there's usually a crease there for guys to get through. We did none of that. We just like threw our hands in the air and was like, oh yeah, they're coming. Okay, let's pass. No sense of urgency. No mixing up the play calls. I don't understand it at all. You have a guy that breaks tackles. Don't use him. You have a young guy with legs. Don't use him. Enough. 5 carries, 27 yards. Guy's getting 5 yards a carry. You don't run him. I mean, look, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. The Patriots, Josh McDaniels on offense, man, they just kept doing the same crap. Like, you got to stop this. You got to run the ball, dude. You can't keep having 3 and out. The defense gave up way too many big plays, 9 pass plays of 20-plus yards. They let Smith carve them up. That was my number 2 takeaway. It's obvious, right? It's a no-brainer. Number 3, they became one-dimensional. They gave up on the run too easy. Everybody knows when you become one-dimensional, they're going to put more heat on you. They're going to put more pressure. The quarterback's going to have less time. You got to thwart that. You got to do the opposite. You got to mix it up more. You know, I'm wicked frustrated with that. Not to mention, they gave up a touchdown to the Raiders on their opening drive. Not a good way to start the season, fellas. You know, it's just not good enough. And listen, we talked about this last week. I understand Christian Gonzalez is out, but it seemed like some of the play calling was off on both sides of the ball. The next time around, they did intercept Smith on a tip ball. Jalen Hawkins got beat on the opening drive touchdown. Then he came in and got the pick. Made up for it, kind of. You know, the next drive, the Patriots, you know, they drove down from their own 35 and got into field goal range with a key play being a pass to Henderson for 15 yards on 3rd and 1 from their own 35. Good play. And then you get it all the way down, and, you know, the rookie kicker, 6th-round draft pick, Andy Borregales, misses a 40-yard field goal. Dude, you can't miss those. You know, I say if he misses another one like that this week, he's gone. You got to get rid of him. You can't. I don't care if you drafted him. You know, anybody that knows Jerry Glanville, anybody that knows what NFL stands for, it stands for not for long, which means if you ain't producing, you're gone. You're not expected to be around long around here. So, listen, he can't miss kicks like that. That kick right there would have gave him, you know, some momentum. Instead, they get no momentum. To get the ball back again, he made up for it on the next one, and you know, I got to backtrack a half a second because I boo-booed here. When they intercepted Smith, they drove down and got a touchdown, so they took the turnover and turned it into points. It was a 12-play, 87-yard drive, and Drake May had popped Douglas for a TD. So that was a good drive. I mean, that's the kind of drives we're used to seeing around here. And those are the kind of sustained drives you're going to need if you want to be successful. You're controlling the clock. You're not giving the other team a chance to get the ball. And then you're capitalizing on your opportunities to get a touchdown. That didn't happen a lot last year. Too many times they couldn't capitalize and settle for field goals. So that was kind of refreshing. And then going back to Borregales missing the 40-yard on the next drive, next time around, they did get a field goal. He made up for it. They went up 10-7. But then they got the ball back with 1:25 left in the first half, and they were on their own 35. They had 3rd and 1 on their own 35-yard line and decided to run, and Stevenson got stopped. And I feel like it's typical, and I like Josh McDaniels, but I feel like it's typical Josh McDaniels. Why aren't you doing something different other than that? You know, they know you're going to run it. And I know that they're trying to control Drake May with the sliding and taking the hits and whatnot. But that's a case where, how about a designed run for him? You know, I don't think that the runs where he's running for, 5-10 yards and then not sliding and taking unnecessary hits. Yes, you want to stop that, but he's talented enough that you could design runs for him, just like they do for Josh Allen. And again, he's not Josh Allen. Let's not start that nonsense. But he has the talent to make a play like that with his legs. If it gets stopped, fine. We try to design run. Okay, I would be okay with that, because giving it to the running backs and having them run up the middle into the pile doesn't work. You don't have LeGarrette Blount here, big 240, 50-pound guy that can run it through. And you have rookie offensive linemen. You don't know yet that they can make those blocks and make the run successful. I just didn't like the play call. And you know what else I didn't like? Why no hurry up offense? You know, um, no hurry up offense, no sense of urgency. I don't know what they were trying to do. Maybe they were trying to, just make some plays and run out the clock and not actually score. But, the play calling just you ended up giving the ball back. So the Raiders got the ball on their own 35-yard line with 25 seconds left. They drive all the way down to the Patriots 40 with 2 seconds left. So again, the defense couldn't make key stops, which is not a good sign. And luckily, their kicker missed a 58-yard field goal with 2 seconds left. Otherwise, it would have been a tie game. Or I should say, it could have been a tie game. So, look, you got Taylor, two things. You got the Patriots getting stalled, drive down, kick the ball back to them with 25 seconds left, and let them drive all the way down into field goal range. Like, that should never happen. The defense has to be better in that situation and not allow them to get all those yards. And then the Patriots get the ball to start the second half. What do they get on the special teams? 10-yard penalty for holding. They start their own 12-yard line. Not good enough. Those are the kind of things I'm sure the Vrabel will hop on, just like we have last year when the Patriots special teams sucked. Can't have it. You're getting the ball, you get a chance to drive down, do something. Now you're starting from your own 12. No good. Drake May made some completions to get them to almost to midfield. Then you got pressure from the right side, and they beat Ueno and forced Drake May to throw off his back foot through interception. So, not good enough offensive line. Michael Ueno, for all the money they gave him, he should be much better than what he's been between last year and so far this year. He's supposed to be an anchor on that right side. I wonder if something's going on with him. I don't know if he's, feels like, okay, I got paid, I don't have to put the work in or what. But ever since he got that contract, he hasn't been the same guy. They're gonna need much better play from him. So that's bad. So the Raiders get the ball back on their own 30. What do? First play, 23 yards, Jacoby Myers. Next play, 19 yards, Jacoby Myers. It's like, how are you letting them do that? And on that play, somebody on the Patriots, I forget who got it, got a 15-yard penalty for a helmet-to-helmet hit. I want to say it was Jalen Hawkins, but I'm not 100% sure. He had a bad game. He had a bad day, that guy. Bad day at the office for him. He needs some work. And that penalty put the Raiders at the 14-yard line, and then they got down close enough to run it in from like the 3 or 4-yard line. Gentry, the rookie running back, sensation for them. Great second effort using his legs and power on his way in for a touchdown, put the Raiders up 14-10. And, no stops. I mean, they didn't get stops. And it was a huge problem last year when they couldn't get stops. Extremely frustrating. So, look, teams are going to score points. I get it. But there's critical times you need stops. We ain't getting them. Not good enough. The Patriots, next drive, they get good field position. They start their own 40. Drake May overthrew Hunter Henry high, overthrew him. The next play, he threw it to Henderson in the backfield, got blown for a 1-yard loss. And then the next play after that, he overthrew Kayshon Boutte. And so Drake May, he had a whole litany of those. So they get a 3-and-out there and have to punt. But he had a whole bunch of those kind of throws. He's got to get that cleaned up somehow. I don't know if it's mechanics, jitters. Excuse me again. I don't know if it's mechanics or jitters or what the issue is, but dude, you got to clean that up somehow. He's got guys wide open and he's overthrown them by a mile. Shouldn't happen. He's talented enough. I don't want to see them give up on him if he can't make those throws over the course of the whole season. That has to be like a focal point. Dude, you got to make these throws. These guys are wide open. You can't F it up. Can't have it. I like Drake, man. I'm not crapping on him, but and obviously he knows. We're not telling him anything he doesn't know already. But it's frustrating sitting on your couch watching him overthrow these guys when they're wide open. It's like, oh, dude, you had him. Oh, what are you doing? Come on. When they do it and it's like a 40-yard bomb or 50-yard bomb and they overthrow the guy, fine, because you're trying to lead the receiver, far enough and have him run underneath the ball as opposed to underthrowing it. I get those, but these guys are like 10 yards out wide open and you're overthrowing them. No. Got to clean it up, dude. You got to. The next drive, Drake May got sacked on 3rd and 4. Will Campbell got bull rushed. Again, the Raiders were blitzing a lot more in the second half, and the Patriots weren't ready for it. They didn't I don't know if they didn't game plan. They didn't adjust. They definitely didn't adjust to that. So another punt, another punt. Next drive, they got stalled at midfield, and they had to punt. And so in 4 drives, they had an interception, 2 3-and-outs, and a stalled drive, and so 4 punts total. I mean, you can't have an interception and 4 punts. I mean, that's putrid, and I'm sure everybody was screaming at their TV nonstop with these play calls. That's why I feel that the coaching is more to blame because they didn't adjust properly. They didn't adjust properly for this. Excuse me. So they gotta clean it up. Another drive. Actually, it was 4 punts and 5 possessions. It was actually bad. The next drive, they got Drake May got sacked. Actually, sorry, he didn't get sacked. He got his arm hit by Max Crosby, fumbled the ball, and Will Campbell fell on it. And they got the ball at midfield, and it looked like they were going to go for it. I think it was 4th and 5. And then Will Campbell got a false start penalty and drove him back another 5 yards. And so now it's 4th and 10 from your own 45. And Mike Vrabel's like, nope, we got to kick it away. Again, those are the kind of things that were killing them last year, too, that you can't have. Again, he's a rookie. You got to cut him a little bit of slack. I don't think he was horrible. And the offensive line was not as bad as they were last year. I mean, last year, we were screaming because, Fadarian Lowe was getting beat and like the guy was already by me. He turned around like, he looked like a freaking turnstile on New York subway. Awful. I think that these guys did better than last year's line, which is, what we want. That's what we hope for. They got some things they got to clean up. I want to see the Patriots run the ball more. There's no excuse not to. You have 3 good running backs. Figure it out. A lot of talk about putting the tight end in the backfield as a fullback. I forget his name now because I don't have it in front of me, but do something like that. Run the freaking ball, dude. You got to manage the clock. I know that Vrabel had Derrick Henry. It was easier to do, but you have options. You got to use them. You can't have Drake May throwing the ball 40 plus times a game, or we will win 4 games again. And I don't want to have to come on here at the end of the year to another 4-win team. Let me get this here. Danny, Mac Jones is starting for the 49ers. Yep. Okay, so pick your poison. You can have Drake May. You can have Mac Jones. I think everybody around here is gonna pick Drake May. The 49ers are screwed. They are done. They got a lot of injuries, not just Brock Purdy, but George Kittle went on IR. he's got some kind of injury. He's out for 4 weeks or 5 weeks minimum. Uh, uh, Deebo Samuel's gone. Brandon Ayuk's injured. They just signed Kendrick Bourne. The other guy, Jennings, that was their number one guy, I think, last year. Excuse me. I don't think he practiced this week or something. So something going on with him. So, excuse me. Mac Jones is up against it. He's gonna be a hurt unit. And they're saying Brock Purdy could be out anywhere between 2 and 5 weeks. So, as much as I do like Mac Jones, I don't think he was the problem here. We're not getting into all that. We're not rehashing that, but I don't know, dude. They're screwed. Their season's porked. That's my thought on it. All right. I do want to do a little bit of next week's game against Miami. I have 3 keys to the game. They can't get out coached. They can't have a repeat of what happened this past week. They got out coached by Pete Carroll. There's a lot of turmoil in Miami right now. The players, some of the players don't like the coach. I don't know if there's a quiet mutiny going on or something, but without getting into specifics, between that and not naming Tyreek Hill captain, there's something going on. There's a funk. It's kind of like the Bruins last year. There's a funk going on in the locker room. Nobody could put their finger on it completely. Number 2, they can't let Tua get into a rhythm. The defense needs to make stops. They need to make key stops on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and short, 2, whatever, 3rd and 5. You can't let him get in a rhythm with Hill and Waddle. You just can't. And now you don't have Gonzalez playing to stop Hill because that would be the matchup. Tyreek Hill would get 4 catches for 40 or 50 yards, but he wouldn't get 8 for 110 or 20. That's what you got to try to avoid. So whatever it is you got to do, you can't let them get in a rhythm, and you got to make some stops. And the last one I have is you got to mix it up better on offense. You can't have multiple 3-and-outs. You got to run the ball. You got to control the clock, and you have to keep that offense off the field. It's the same old thing when you have an offense that's a juggernaut. You can't give them the ball back. You have to do something. So that's how I see it. And when we get to the predictions, I have my prediction for the game, so I'm going to hold it off for right now. So that's it for that. Let's move on to the poll questions from last week. I think we had 2 questions. Let me find them here. How many wins do you think the Patriots will get next season? 6 or less was 0%. 7 to 9 was 75%. 10 to 12 was 25%, and 12 plus was 0%. I guess there are a few people that think that they can get 10 plus wins. Not after watching last week, they're not. And I'll say this. I'll say this. He's not here, obviously, but on Frank's other show, I was on there, and he told me specifically that if the Patriots lose in Miami, Mike Vrabel should be fired. So take that for what it's worth. I don't agree with that. It's not the first time the Patriots have started 0-2. Remember, Belichick's second year, they started 0-2, and they won the Super Bowl. And why and whatnot, but it can be done. The Patriots are not going to win the Super Bowl this year, but an 0-2 start will not completely make it so that their season is done. The 49ers won last week, and they might have Mac Jones for 4 or 5 weeks, and they might lose all 5 of those games. I mean, if they lose the next 2 or 3 games, they're done. Their season could be done quick. The Patriots, if they go 0-2, they can beat the Steelers in week 3, and they can beat Carolina and get back to 500. That opportunity exists for them. So I don't agree with firing Mike Vrabel. I don't know who you're going to get to replace him. It's not the time for that. Next question we had: who was most responsible for the Patriots losing to the Raiders? The coaching staff, 50%. Drake May, 0. Offense in general, 50%. Defense, 0. I don't think the defense deserves 0, but I do get where the offense sputtered so much in the second half and couldn't get anything done. And the coaching was to blame, in my opinion. So they go hand in hand. So I actually can't argue with the results. Both were bad in the second half. Put it this way: in the second half, you could give the Patriots maybe like a C, but in the second half, you give them an F. I mean, just no results. You can't have an interception and 4 punts in 5 drives and get no offense, no points, no nothing. That's a epic fail. And I know on here we don't give the player grades specifically, but I do watch the sports guys on TV give their grades for the players. Some of them got B's, some of them got C's, and I'm like, how are they getting B's? They sucked. I don't understand that. And there's almost no D's or F's. I don't know. I think if you give up 9 plays of plus 20 yards, that's a D or an F, period. So I don't know how that works, but the defense to me was a big part of the problem too. I don't know. It's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a thing all year long. We'll have this. We'll have these kind of questions probably every week. Who's gonna get the blame pie? Let's move on to the predictions. My predictions for last week was Trevion Henderson would get a touchdown either as a running back or on special teams. Wrong. He was not the factor in the game I thought he would be. He didn't get the ball enough, in my opinion. They need to rectify that going forward. Jacoby Myers gets a touchdown versus the Patriots. Wrong, but he had 8 catches for 97 yards. Again, why can't we get guys like this? He carved up the Patriots with big plays. My last one was that the Red Sox would split the road trip 3-3 record, lose 2 of 3 to Arizona, win 2 of 3 against the A's. Ding, ding, ding. I finally got another one. It's I'll take it. Let's put it that way. Let's move on to this week's predictions. This week's predictions, I have where did it go? Predictions for the upcoming week. I'm going to keep my Trevion Henderson one. I still think he's going to get a touchdown somewhere along the line this week and get his first touchdown, either as a TD, running back, or special teams. I'm going to keep that. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, 1 touchdown each versus the Patriots. They don't have Christian Gonzalez to shut down Tyreek Hill. Jalen Hawkins, not good enough last week. I don't know what they're going to do to try to rectify, not allowing them to get cooking, but it's not good. Patriots lose 2 out of 3 versus the Yankees. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I just feel that the pitching matchups don't favor the Red Sox, and they have a habit of choking, as am I right now. Excuse me. I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I do, because I hate the Yankees. I can't stand them. So, I want the Red Sox to beat them, but history is not on our side, so to speak. My last prediction, I'm going to save. Miami's going to beat the Patriots this week, 24-20. I think the Patriots will be able to move the ball better against Miami's defense. Is not as good as it has been, but they still give the Patriots fits. The heat is still a factor down there. The Patriots have not won in Miami since 2019, Tom Brady's last year. Tua Tagovailoa is 7-0 against the Patriots, has not lost. And so unless he gets concussed, and unless the Patriots can do some things, like I said earlier, I mentioned how to beat them, I don't see it in the cards. They just historically play crappy there. They don't win there, and I don't see it coming. So, again, hope I'm wrong. 24-20, Miami. That's my pick. I'd be happy if I came back on here next week when we do these and it's wrong. Patriots win. I'd be happy, but man, negative Ned's gonna negative Ned. That being said, that's the end of the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the support. Thanks for voting in the polls. Thanks for the commentary. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. And we'll be back next week. Thank you.